start or something. So I'm going to try and briefly talk about changes in the Natural History Museum collections. Back in 2012, I published this paper, which basically summarized everything up to that point as to what the collections hold and what information sources there are, etc. And in the 2012 paper, you can see brief details about the kind of main collections we've got and who were the donors of the collections and who worked on the section. And then we discussed the moves to new buildings, etc., and how things are rehoused. So I wanted to just bring you up to speed and also to highlight things that are new or to look at ongoing areas that have a changed emphasis. And certainly the Central Hall has changes as well since that time. So we unfortunately got rid of Dippy, but we got Hope the blue whale. So I must say I do like the blue whale. And I'm going to look at three main areas: collections development, accessibility, and other major projects. So back in 2017, I'm very pleased to say that I got all the chelicerates for the first time. So I got the horseshoe crabs and the pygmagonids to add to my haul, along with the myriapods and onychopha and tardigrades I already have. And so I spent a very happy time moving the collections from our off-site store back to South Kensington and recurating the collections, etc. And something that has come in over the last few years at the NHM, long-term collections development planning. And obviously that's really difficult when you've only got one person who is employed full-time, i.e. me. But more about that in a minute. But you can see here that we are having to try and work out what we're going to do, what our goals are, etc., etc. So, you know, it's a bit difficult. Sometimes you feel you're over-committing yourself. Also, something new that's come in are salvage plans. So it's very difficult to choose which of your collections you would grab after, you know, maybe a terrible event that's happened, like a flood or something. But this is something that we had to get down in a you know, formal way, rather than just have it in our minds what we would grab. And then volunteer curation. Okay, this has been going on for a while. I actively encourage volunteers, and in fact, Danny is one of my main volunteers, and Bill Parker, who's listening now, and Anna Macker, who I'm going to have as my new volunteer. Hello, Anna, she's listening now. But certainly I'm very grateful to my volunteers. And this is one of the volunteer projects, which is transcribing and conserving old jar labels and then digitizing them. And yeah, digitization, obviously, as with a lot of museums around the world, or all museums, we're very much moving forward with digitizing the collections. And these are some examples of our EMU database, which has, is very much a modular system where you can link various different aspects together to give you a very full picture of the specimens. And then through the data portal, we make these data available for anybody interested in the collections. And something that there's been a massive emphasis on over the last, say, 3 years or so is barcoding the collections. So we assign data matrix codes or barcodes. You can see up in the top left-hand corner, that is an actual barcode label that is attached to herbarium sheets. But then below that, you can see a data matrix code that is used in the life sciences collections for wet material. And something that I did back in 2017 was the first mass digitization of my collections was of the A.D. Michael Mite slide collection. So slides obviously are dead easy really to scan because they're nice and flat, but you only get the metadata on the labels. You don't get a high quality image of the specimen itself. Then the horseshoe crabs, I thought would be a lovely opportunity in 2019 to get those imaged. And then another imaging project, big project, we see the glamorous Danny on the right-hand side. She came on board with Adric Curie from Rio and myself a few years back, digitizing all the Beccaloni's type material. And thanks to Danny, we're much further forward with that now because she's been taking some very striking specimen images. And another digitization project that we started and hopefully are going to continue on with is the Spider Exact collection. A very lovely old collection, but really not very well known about the tools. So once we get it all digitized, I'm hoping we can get some IDs on those exacts as well. Other digital projects, we did this project a few years ago now actually, was unidentified materials. So by producing these data tables, I've been able to get several thousand specimens identified so far, because obviously if you don't know what's there, you can't get them identified. Also, there's been more of an emphasis on collections research, and like Zoe from Oxford, I'm really liking the collections research, and something that one of my volunteers, Martin, flagged up was he came upon in one of our old registers a registration of ticks from an ancient Egyptian tomb collected by the famous Egyptology Flinders Petrie. And so once I looked into that, I discovered that actually it was the first record of that genus from an archaeological site. So that was, these maybe boring looking brown specimens turned out to be something highly exciting. I'm also looking at abnormalities of horseshoe crabs, which is something that
5 minutes plan.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. And I've been looking at, I've been working on some type catalogues. I'm also doing some work on materials research. And something I wanted to flag up here, for those of you who've not come upon it, is synthesis funding, which enables visitors from overseas and within the UK to go to one of the partners organisations, and we get work done like this, which is extremely useful to the NHM as well. Something else that's a bit new over the last few years are digital surrogates for loans. So we don't have to send out the specimens so much now. And of course, Michael Roberts borrowed many specimens for his work. And of course, we've seen these images many times today. And I'm very glad to say that the NHM has a lot, if not all, of his original artwork. I thought I'd just flag that up here if people didn't know already. And I think we'll whiz through that. Public events have obviously become a bit more online. Now, this is something I really need to flag up. The museum is going to open a new centre in 2026 for collections, research and digitisation at the Harwell campus in Oxfordshire. And the timeline, as you can see here, the site opens in 2026, and these collections are going to be moving there. And one of those groups' collections are the chelicerates. So be prepared to have to visit Oxfordshire after that time. And just for people who don't know where Oxford is necessarily sited, it's a bit of a trek from London, but this is the site, and you can see it's a bit of a far cry from South Kensington. So I think I will stop there. Thank you.